Hello, hello, and welcome to Astrology and Alchemy with Paranormal Sarah and Matthews.
Cheers.
I'm pushing buttons on my microphone. I don't know if I'm breaking it. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, we can hear me. I'm just doing things. All right, guys. So you didn't get to see us last week. Neither you or I were here last week. We just left everybody hanging because it was the end of the world. Was the end of the world as we know it. I don't even remember what we were doing last week, but it was something came up. And you guys, we really appreciate you. For those of you who checked in and asked if we were doing okay, we're doing great. How are you doing? But it is the end of September already. I can't believe that, Matt. How is that possible?
Skins. The more years you got under you, the faster they go by.
Don't say that. Is that true, though? I mean, I know that it to be partially true, but it really does go faster.
It's true.
It's so scary.
It has nothing to do with, I didn't want to say older because it's all relative. But so, whether you're 15 versus when you were 5 or 60 versus when you were 20, it does just seem to go faster.
I know. And we're not old, by the way. We don't believe in such things. Chet, welcome. Autumn, Mary, John, Rona, everybody joining us. We really appreciate you. Whether you're joining us on Subspace, Odyssey Radio, YouTube, or Facebook. Could be any social media presence, really, through Astrology and Alchemy, or through Paranormal Sarah, or through Matt Slosier, anywhere. But we do appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you had a great week. Man, we've got I don't want to say a kerfuffle of a week, but Mary, hi. Steph, whoop whoop. We have a full moon this week. End of the month this week, and Monday, just that way, just over there, was the beginning of Libra season. How do you feel about Libra season? I think it's already been kind of loud.
Yeah, there's been a lot already in Libra season. It's funny. So I like Libra because I got a Libra stellium, so I feel like I got a lot of Libra energy. But I got to say, Libra energy kicked off without getting into detail. I would just say that it's known for its diplomacy and kind of moving. It's a cardinal sign, so it moves things, but it does it in a more passive-aggressive, nudging kind of manner. And I got to say that the start to Libra season was far from diplomatic,
dramatic,
a lot of
social
drama.
Steph adds in the chat room, a lot of checks and balances. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. A lot of people wrecking themselves, by the way. Libra, when you mention that it's a cardinal sign, it's that strong, it's that forward, it's that spearhead of your earth, water, air, fire. And it's the air, guys. And we always talk about how air is social, reputation. I always think of the Steve Martin and the Three Amigos. So look up here, look up here, look up here. Like you're trying to get things moving, but you also don't want to spit into the wind. So you have to be very aware of how things are moving and in which direction people are going. Which way is that teeter-totter moving before you get involved in it? Libra is not terribly flexible. So Libra season is get your hats on, get ready to rumble, which I learned that was copyrighted. Did I recently learn that? And he can't say that anymore.
Really?
I thought that was something that was because I was like, there's the guy and he's going to do it's ready to rumble. And then it was like, no, he can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean he can't do that? And I thought I was in like a Mandela of where like I'm used to the Barnum and Bailey or like the racetrack or the guy that's like, and he doesn't say that anymore. He says it's time to rumble you do-da or something stupid. He doesn't say what he used to say. Yes. It really bothered me. It still really bothers me, obviously.
And why? You don't know why?
I think it's probably a copyright thing. It always is a copyright thing. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. We're going to find out before the end of the show. Or if anybody's a Google master out there, let us know. So it's September 26th. Guys, we're going to be ending the show in October. So get ready. Get your pencils and papers out. Get your, you can text yourself. You can chat with yourself. You can just put it in the chat room here, and then it'll be recorded forever into the matrix, and you can be validated with your intuition. Matt and I, Matt, the things that we say on this show that we put down in our predictive spaces, I love it. There have been some really cool listeners that have cut and pasted some of our predictions throughout the year.
Oh, cool.
weird and wild, just weird and wild. Everything from the tsunamis to the floods to cyber attacks, different UFO aliens, CERN. We haven't mentioned CERN reactivating. Just some really cool things. So I always like to give myself a little pat on in that space, just because that is how your intuition grows. A lot of people will contact me and say, how do I sharpen my intuition? How do I be psychic? And I suppose it's like asking somebody how they, get better at piano. Some people are just really born with the ability to press the right button at the right time. Otherwise, you got to practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people in chat room are sharing their birth charts and things like that. We need to do a night where we just go through someone's birth chart. But let's get into this. So Tuesday, that's today. Since we weren't here last week, I will just post what happened today as far as the moon is waxing. We don't talk a whole lot about the moon being a big deal, but it is kind of emotions, growing, sensitivities, a little higher than usual, maybe, right? I think I can identify with that for today. What do you think?
Yeah, and Pisces is that introspective, I always call it like deathbed perspective type. A little bit of selflessness. Take one for the team. Sacrificial.
The sacrificial lamb. Yeah. And I always think about menstrual cycles, I suppose, because I'm a woman, but I feel as though when we're waxing towards that, like your testosterone is building, your all that stuff, you're getting into and you're building towards water, you're building towards emotion, you're building towards being slippery. That's kind of difficult. And so I feel like it's almost emotion on emotion in Libra season where there's dramatic stuff going on. So people are going to feel, they're going to feel a lot of feelings about things. That's okay. Heather shares her mom's birthday was this past Saturday. She was a listener of the Astrology and Alchemy and passed away July 27th. What? Heather, your mom passed and was a fan of the show. Oh, well, I know she's listening now. She's got a better seat now, but dang. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mary. Or not Mary, Heather. I'm so sorry to hear that, Heather.
Daggone. For us both as well. I was typing while you were talking.
Dang. That stinks. I'm really sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that you're still listening and that you're sharing that with us. I mean, that's always really cool, right? Dang. Okay. Well, yeah, Steph says hugs to you for sure. And thank you for sharing that piece of your mom with us, because I always like to hear about people, whether they're alive or not. They're alive as long as we're keeping them alive. So thank you, Heather, and let us know how we can send blessings to you and to your mama. Is your mom still alive, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mom's passed away. So I always kind of think about how it's an interesting space. I mean, ideally our mothers are supposed to pass away before us, right? That's the goal. Moms would never want to lose their children. So I always feel like, okay, it's the natural progress. But anyway, okay. Tomorrow is Wednesday.
I'm going to go on mute for a second. I got to yell at an animal.
Uh-oh. Matt's got 5 kids, 4 quadruplets, and animals. He rescues animals. If he sees a possum or a toad or a dog with 3 legs, Matt's taken it in. So he's going to go do that. Anyway, I'm going to put up for what we have Wednesday. That's tomorrow. That's hump day. Look out, guys.
I had a cat using our
plant
chair as a scratch post.
So yeah, I can't do that. Gotta get the spray bottle out. So Wednesday, I just announced that's tomorrow. The sun, middle of our galaxy, got to have it to live, is in Virgo. That's me. Whoop, whoop. But it's opposing Saturn and Pisces, which is retrograde. So that's a lot to say.
Sun didn't go into Libra yet?
Did it? Man, don't make me second guess things as I'm wheezing.
I'm going to make you second guess things because I thought we were in Libra season.
We are in Libra season.
Let's make sure you're not looking at last Wednesday.
Okay, let me make sure. He says September 27th.
Beauty of life. Really?
That's a. But hold on, okay. I'm going to go to my my Farmer's Almanac.
Just...
No, you're right. Yeah, no, it's in Libra. See, look at you. Good.
And here's the
man.
thing you got to realize, and this is why I feel really, really bad about this, is
Why?
Sarah's got lots of Virgo. You don't throw Virgo curveballs.
I
And I
know.
just totally like,
I know. And I'm so glad you're saying that because people listening should know this about their Virgos. What do you mean it's not in the way I'd said it was? That's okay. We can change it. Look at that. The sun is in Libra. Thank you, Matt. This is why we have a master astrologer with us. I would have been dancing around in Virgo thinking things were all organized and they would have been a shit show. That's okay. Sun is in Libra and it's opposite the Saturn in Pisces. Now I have all of my writings that I did, and let's see if it's even applicable. So, Matt, what would you say about tomorrow for that movement?
well, opposites like tension. And so you got the Saturn rules. And the way I've been describing kind of Saturn in Pisces for like rules and restrictions is changing rules, and there's almost a sacrificial element to it. So like this might hurt me, but it's for the greater good. So I'll go ahead and do it. So it's kind of interesting that you're having this tension between Sun and Libra, this kind of diplomatic space with this sacrificial rules space. So I almost feel like this is where that cardinal piece of Libra, where they do want to move things forward, but they do it like indirectly. So it's like I really want to do this, but it won't look good if I do that. It won't be the, it'll stir things up. It won't be the peaceful diplomatic thing to do. So I have this tension between what I deep down want to do and kind of the greater good piece.
The greater good. The greater good.
Pisces. Well,
that's really important. And well, yeah, that
but Libra, there's a little more like self-interest in it, whereas Pisces is a little more sacrificial.
So then in my little Excel spreadsheet where I have my predictions for tomorrow morning in the news, because I'm kind of a news junkie, I see this as, how do we see that? I see a pregnancy announcement for somebody big.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because I was reading a farmer's almanac of the yin energy of overburdened and unrecognized between Pisces and Libra. And I thought, ooh, yin energy and expression.
I think someone or something, meaning like, organizationally, I think is going to make a sacrifice or a concession tomorrow that they really don't want to do. It'll get spun to make them look like they're being the good, diplomatic, level-headed person in the room, but it's going to be something they really don't want to do.
I'm going to put a negative next to that because I'm excited to see how that's going to go.
There could be a couple things I could see there.
Right. And this is where we get to kind of put in our secret predictions. And you too, listening right now, if you have thoughts when you're hearing Matt and I talk about this, Steph, Mary, Chet, all of you guys listening, some of you that are being anonymous, I know listening too, make your predictions. Think about what is going to pan out for you and be prepared. Use that energy. And then the only secondary thing happening tomorrow for Wednesday is just that additional moon waxing in Pisces. So that's happening as we're having all this Sun Saturn stuff going on. And so that's just that continued growth of emotions, right? Maybe even feeling more and more and more growth, more emotional depth, more volatile. The Farmer's Almanac said, be prepared for identity crises, identity crises this month. And when I was thinking about that, I thought, an identity crisis. I wonder when that will lay itself down. And
I'm reacting weird because it's not a common song I hear or anything, but that song by New York Dolls was like going through my head this morning at work.
Which one? What?
Identity crisis.
Identity crisis was?
Yeah. So you just kept saying identity crisis again. I'm like, oh man, that was like singing that song in my head like earlier today.
Okay. So little coinky dinky there, which we don't believe in those, by the
Yeah.
way, because how many of those make a fact? Synchronicity, if you will. Identity crisis is real. It's on the threshold. Who are you? Who are you? It's who are you? What are you doing? I think it's going to be relative to what people are dealing with. I know for me in social work, these are going to be themes that I see popping up, popping their little heads in. Okay. Mary says, I don't want to think about anything. Good luck with that. Thursday, only one thing is happening. Unless Steph tells us otherwise, and some of our other chat astrologers joining in that always give us little insights, which I appreciate and love and adore. Thursday, though, the only thing that I have going on in the chart, and this is an amp up. This is an amp up. The moon moves into the sign of Aries for Friday, where it's going to be full. But on Thursday afternoon, it just kind of creeps its little toe over into that space. And then you've got Neptune, you've got Saturn, you've got Jupiter, you've got Uranus, you've got all these planets and retrograde. And I think it's kind of exciting. Man, that Pisces Aries cusp for Thursday. What do you think or feel with that?
Well, I always think the moon ones are just very subtle nudges, but now this is going to get a nudge into, we're going from that take one for the team, greater good, to Aries is very impulsive, short term, action oriented, very impulsive, doesn't think, not thinking the long game here and stuff. So I just think there'll be an increase in impulsiveness with people. So people are going to be doing things that maybe aren't as well thought through for this next 2 days that moon's in Aries.
Yeah. And then our astrologers in the chat room say, and don't forget that moon is opposing Mercury in Virgo.
That makes sense. Is that Thursday though, Steph? Or is it
right,
Friday morning?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning they're opposite? Okay.
Yeah.
Because Aries and Libra are opposite each other, and Mercury will always be really close. Mercury is almost always going to be in the same sign as the sun, unless it does, some weird retrograde things and stuff. But generally, it's right around where the sun is. So yeah.
A nudge, getting motivated, use this energy, especially that Mercury in Virgo. You're going to want to talk clearly and precisely. Get those details out. Get those details out before Friday. Get those things done. Get the laundry finished. Get Friday ready for the full moon. Get ready for your full moon. Prepare. Wake up like you meant to, right? Steph said, man, there's a few other things happening, like the moon is conjunct Neptune and the moon is sextile Pluto. There's some shifts happening, and I'm going to shift here on Friday to actually show, for those of you joining us live in the chat and watching the video stream, I'm going to show you the almanac of the planet so that you can see some of these if you're more of a visual person like myself. But first, let's go to Friday. Friday, two major things are happening. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Two major things are happening on Friday. And so I want you guys to put that down. And then I am going to show you that, what it looks like. Okay. And this is Friday. The first thing that's going to happen, we're waking up and witches, it's a full moon in Aries. And just by the hair of our skin skivvies. So I'm going to share my screen sharing. Don't share these tips again. Yep, I'm sharing. Maybe. Here. And so this is what we're looking at for. Wow.
Oh, just to help folks out, can you get rid of the banner?
I can.
You should be able to get rid of the banner.
The banner.
At the bottom.
At the bottom. I can't.
I don't know which one you have on here. So astrology. Yeah, I don't see it.
Okay, no worries. We'll be all right. We're gonna be fine.
Okay.
I can't because I can't see anything other than just.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, this is the this is the screen share for those of you guys. If you're just listening, listen for a brief moment. But this allows you to see any of the planets that are glowing in like a purplish hue. So you can see Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune and Saturn and Pluto, all on a little cusp. These two right here, Saturn and Pluto, have been dancing, and this is kind of why we see these big, and when this happens and throughout history, this is like revolutionary times, by the way. So we're seeing these, but these are all retrograde. So they're not necessarily in the sky that we can see. They're behind our line of vision, but we're still seeing Mercury. You can see the moon, how these might be lining up off of each other. Mars opposite these two little guys. Jupiter, it's not really opposing anything. The sun, though, is opposing directly Neptune in retrograde Pisces. So I think that Steph had mentioned that in the chat room. But this is, the date up here is the 29th. So this is all what Friday is going to look like. So if we go back in time and we watch those move, this is yesterday, today, tomorrow, moving into Thursday and Friday. And you're watching that. The biggest thing moving is Luna, is the moon. So to give you guys just some visual representation there. Friday, full moon in Aries. What does Matt say about this?
I just think it's maximum impulsive behavior. So just be careful. It's weird. It's a Libra cycle. So it's, moving things, but moving things diplomatically. But I feel like the peak of that is almost throwing diplomacy out the window, because Aries is not very diplomatic and just, we're just going to get crap done and just move. And so, so just impulsive behavior on Friday. Keep that in mind. Be careful if you're out on Friday, because people are going to be impulsive.
So I want to think about a second wind, a second chance, a awareness of whatever it takes for you, to slow down, to take action, passion, and desire and dampen it just a hair, just like that thing on the end of a trumpet, just a small damp moment for this full moon in Aries. What do we predict for the nation? Do we dare?
Well, I'll just say news-wise, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be nation. Somebody's going to do something stupid and not well thought out. Yep. And we have a lot of people in the news that their mouth goes faster than their brain. So I'm sure there's going to be some statement somebody's going to make that's going to get them in trouble.
Ooh. Steph says, I think you're going to get a taste of things from people that you are going to know to cut that cord. Many people in this particular year, and we could say this is a generalized statement, but I would say that this is a transformative year. So when I see the predictions in Farmer's Almanac talking about identity crisis, knowing who you are. Is that what you do? Are you having a career change? Is that who you're coupled with? Are you going through some relationship changes? Is it, what is your purpose? Work, kids, what is it that you're here? What are you here for? I think Aries has a gift to sometimes just be able to be on full blast life all the time. And this full moon, I don't know. What do you guys think? Some people in the chat room are saying, could be a false narrative, could be a false flag, could be something with Ukraine. Absolutely. I would say the timing right now of people being on the edge, living on the edge. It's, man, I remember what was the guitarist name from Aerosmith? It's not Slasher, is it?
No, it's
it's the guy with the long hair that looks like, is that? Yeah.
Well, Steven Tyler's the singer, and then Joe Perry's the
guitar player, and he does that's his real stunt work in that video, Living on the Edge, where he stands in front of a train that's coming and then moves just 3 or 4 seconds before the train hits him. And I remember them saying that he really did that. I always think about that. So that's kind of what I am envisioning for this full moon. Now there's one more thing happening on Friday, and I want to put this. So this is Friday evening. So consider this as well. Steph says, yep, Joe Perry it was. See, Matt? You have You're sharp. Friday evening, Venus direct. So I always think vagina. I always think romance. I always think art, money. In Leo. It's another fire sign. Squaring off with Uranus and Taurus, which is still retrograde. Uranus has been for a while, and it's been in Taurus for a while. But what do we say about this for kind of topping off the evening?
So I say, Uranus is rebelling, but since Taurus is stable and indulgent, I say Uranus is rebelling by not doing. Excuse me. Venus and Leo, I feel like this is people are going to be focused romantically on what they're getting out of this relationship. So I feel this is going to be lots of, and then you add kind of the overlayer of the whole Libra energy as well. This kind of passive aggressive. I'm not getting what I want out of this relationship, so I'm not going to do something I normally do. So rebelling by not doing, and it's going to get driven by romantic dissatisfaction.
Ooh, that's really powerful. When you realize that you are dissatisfied in the areas of your life that feed you love, whether it's romantic love or family love or food love, if you start losing that passion in areas of your life, it really does run things cold. So imagining some of these things on fire, these impulses, emotions, pride, hot, identity, temper, anxiety, petty drama, Petty Kruger. It can really ruin a good thing. So cool it down. Get an ice pack out, put it on your vagus nerve. Let those old issues that have come up in the last few months be resolved with a smart approach. Don't lash out. Woosah. Have a woosah moment and know that less inclined people are not going to be able to have that. They really, if they are not preparing right now, if they are not foreseeing it right now, if they ain't watching the show, they may not be prepared to handle some of the energy that's coming their way for a Friday. Last Friday of September, hitting you with a full moon in Aries, doubling down on some really crazy transformative energy for the year. So Steph says it can be excitement in your love life too, because you go, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, or this. Pruning is going to be happening. So then after a Friday night of crazy impulsive pruning, what happens on don't cut too short. What happens on Saturday, September 30th? 1, 2.
While she's looking up, yes, field guy, you missed me hating on Pisces. Since I'm always so hard with water signs. I know. I'm just going with it now. I just won't make a joke.
I'm going to make you a shirt for merch that says, as long as you're not a Pisces. Anyway, because we love you. So Saturday morning, and there's only 2 things happening on Saturday, unless Steph or other people in the chat want to prove me wrong here. And please do, by the way. Saturday, you're going to have Mercury in Virgo. Whoop. Still direct. Cool. With Uranus in Taurus retrograde. And we just had this. So it's like that blip again, where it's just kind of reminding us of these energies and how we should be using this. And this is coming on after that crazy hot Friday night. So plotting. I have written down, let us plot. That's what I wrote down for this Saturday morning. Right? Plotting and planning. Yeah.
Detailed communication. Having synergy with rebelling by not doing. So I'm going to say on this, since it's Virgo and Mercury's communication, in any communications that happen on Saturday, particularly Saturday morning, pay very much attention to the words. The words are going to be very important, very specific. And I feel that this is going to be lots of communication of people like backing out of things. That's the Uranus and Taurus.
Backpedalings. Whoop, whoop. Backpedaling.
Sorry, I can't help you move. My grandmother's sick, and you realize that he backed out of helping you move the last time because his grandmother passed away, so it can't happen. Stuff like that.
Right.
Words
What's
are going to be
going
very
on?
telling and important.
What's going on with people? I think that it's going to be a Saturday of, you know what, after that shit show of a Friday and all the things that happen on Friday, Saturday may not be the best day to rely on people or to make any plans that you think you're going to follow through. Friday might be pretty life changing for some people. And so Saturday is going to be that listening, hashing it out, maybe talking through it. And then there's one more thing happening on Saturday evening. And we know it's just a small thing, but we're going to put it in there because, again, this is a moon. So this is the moon waning. So if you can imagine that, you know, heart container or that little holy grail or maybe a cup or I'm trying to think of like a vessel that you would put a hole in, like a jug. Maybe you got a jug or a Borg. I don't know what you're doing these days, kids, but you pop a hole in it and you're letting it wane. You're letting it drain out. And so your emotions, your feelings, your passions, your heated things from Friday on this Saturday are now and now in a cool sign of Earth, Taurus. How does that feel for you, Matt?
Well, Moon's emotions, and as I said before, Taurus is very stable and indulgent. So this is kind of emotionally wanting to be comfortable, not stirring things up. So you're moving from areas which, will shake things up and be impulsive and everything to something much more stable. And this is, get a pizza and Netflix and chill, kind of just relax and indulge.
I wondered if
There's
you
my
were
check. It might be
like that.
Okay. No, it's just pixelating.
What?
I was thinking I was seeing something moving behind me.
Don't say
But
that.
it's not.
Okay. Well, so October 1st, that's going to bring us to Sunday. It's going to be October 1st. So Steph, I really need you. I really need other people in the chat room to correct me if I'm wrong, because this doesn't happen that often, right? But it does happen on occasion. No major movements I have written for October 1st. Now, when I'm looking at the astrology, it looks as though Jupiter is opposing Mars. It looks like the sun is opposing Uranus. It looks like Saturn is opposing Venus. It looks like Neptune is opposing the sun. It looks like everything is facing off with each other when I look at it on October 1st. But none of the almanacs say that anything in particular is happening.
Steph agrees.
Yeah. And so I was looking at it and I was like, what? It looks pretty serious, but it, I have 4 different places that I check and then I kind of correlate them all. And then I sit down and meditate, and none of them said anything for October 1st. So I kind of thought that was interesting, because I feel like when there's a Sunday after a really crazy Friday full moon, that there's just nothing. It just doesn't even make sense to me. So whatever.
Everybody's gonna be so spent from Friday, Saturday that they just need a day of,
I guess,
nothing.
People are going to be like, I just can't do it. So cool. Sunday, take a great day of rest. If you go to church, go to church. If you don't go to church, don't go to church. But whatever it is that you do to start the month off, maybe clean, maybe prep. Libra season is a great time to just give and get and give and be equal and diplomatic with yourself. Right. Okay. Then Monday. It's the thing I hate to see.
Oh,
You
it's
know
gonna be
what
Neptune.
that means.
It's gonna be Neptune.
Yes. See, you guys get it. It's going to be a Neptune, and it is, because social work. If you're a firefighter, if you're a doctor, if you're a waiter, if you're working in customer care where you got to deal with people in your face, Neptune, I'm telling you, I feel like it's the equivalent to a full moon on a Friday night, which you're going to have, and then you're going to have it again on Monday. So for those people kind of predicting, conspiracy theories, amping up for sicknesses and COVIDs and healthcare revamps, here it is. First Monday of October, and you are getting the Mercury in Virgo, clear, precise, detailed communication, opposing Neptune in Pisces, which is retrograde. So I often just feel like this any Neptune in Pisces, but I'll let you kind of, what do you think?
I feel this is like people are going to have their bubbles burst on Monday. This is like very detailed communication that debunks or totally ruins people's dreams or delusions about things. So this is kind of like the bitch slap of reality. It's going to be coming upside people's heads on Monday.
Your dreaming, your delusions, guys, the things that you have been planning, maybe logic and the brain and the heart. This is what is, Mercury and Virgo right here. How are you bringing this to reality? How are you having breakthroughs? How are you stepping out of your delusion? I mean, break the cycle of fantasy, delusion, and bring that goal into real life, maybe. I want people to be able to use this energy and not be scared of it. And so I think that Virgo wants us to be making a list. Maybe. What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be very specific details, but the specific details are going to run counter to some people's delusional assumptions. And so you're going to have kind of that cognitive dissonance on Monday. People believe A, and these very obvious things are going to come that show that A is wrong, and then they're just going to mentally like flip out over it.
I love the word cognitive dissonance. I think it gets misused sometimes or inappropriately used, but I think that this is a great day to use it and a great moment to use it. So guys, I hate being broke. I'm going to go get Starbucks and shop. Get my mind off of things. What are you doing? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's going to make your situation worse. And in the moment, you might be feeling a certain way and you're being very clear about the things that are important to you, but then your actions are doing something completely different. What are you doing? Change those behaviors a little bit. October 2nd for Monday. What do we think of the predictions, knowing that it's going to start off with this kind of energy?
Well, I feel this has happened before on both sides. I think there is going to be a U.S. political thing to this. But the funny thing about this is I've seen this happen on both sides and it still just gets ignored. But I feel like there'll be some obvious information that debunks one of the theories from one of the political sides, and they're just going to go ahead and ignore it anyway. Because that's happened like a million times in the last couple of years.
So blatant ignoring of the important things at hand. And so I put this in my predictions because, guys, when I'm looking at the news, I'm thinking of, lately I've been working with the UAP Medical Coalition. So for anybody interested in UAPs or UFO phenomenon for congressional disclosures and language, the United States, just really internationally, first world countries and their technology are learning how to, I want to say appropriate, but integrate something that seems so completely different and culturally diverse. And over here it's a demon, and over there it's an interdimensional, and over here it's Bigfoot, and over there it doesn't even exist, and over here it's a stigma. But to make that all be useful so that we're working with mental health and first response and making it a positive experience and not a false flag or a weaponized experience. This is what comes to my mind for Monday, October 2nd. An ignorance of something that is extremely important, something that really matters, that we're just going to go, floods in Libya, who gives a shit? Whoa, see. I hope that people are listening and seeing the words they're using, because that Mercury and Virgo would maybe make me think communication. But if you say something, Sally sold seashells by the seashore, it's really a story of one of the very first ever female archaeologists. That's like a historical little thing that people whisper as a linguistic thing, but it is giving credence to a real woman. And there's going to be you're saying something and it's entertaining, but it also has a meaning behind it if you take a moment.
See, I'm thinking a video or a memo gets leaked, totally implicating somebody, and then the flip side is going to be, oh, it's just a conspiracy by the other people. They made that all up. That's AI, and then it'll just like, it'll get, because I feel that's where society is right now. That nobody's going to believe it. Everybody's just going to believe their own stuff. It doesn't really matter anymore because
it doesn't matter anymore. What is real, Neo?
But whoever tangent here. But whoever was ultimately, and I feel there's a lot of people that had their hands in this, but whoever was ultimately responsible for muddying all our information going forward, they did a great job. Because now we're perfectly set up for like dictatorship now, because they got everybody not, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Nobody's going to believe anything, and it's just
done.
They can sell anything at this point. And half the people believe it, and half the people won't.
And yeah, we need to be aware of that.
But either way, that's not a biased statement. That applies on both directions.
I hate that. I hate that you're right. I'm putting that into my predictive spaces because it's these important things at hand that are going to be bitch slapped. I think you used the word bitch slap, and I used important things at hand. So I just know that they're going to possibly be wasted. For those of you guys listening, do not waste any single sliver of opportunity, love, passion, or positiveness in your life that you see happening on Monday. If you're asking yourself, is this real? It is real. So be prepared to plan. I
personally think it's going all the way back to 07, 08. I think it was the start of the really big troll farms in the country that I trash a lot, that is currently invading another country.
Russia.
I believe they are the root of undermining things. And I think China jumped in later, but I think Russia's got the strongest game for troll farming and muddying information.
Oh, do you think America has any part in it? Are you at all into that? Or do you put your feet there?
I don't. Not as much. I feel that I feel because I feel a lot of that helps them. And in my mind, I'm very clear on who I think the enemies are. And so even if there is a shred of things on there, I don't like helping people I view as enemies. So I'm not on the Alex Jones camp who think that like Putin them are these anti-globalist crusaders. No, I just think they're butthurt over what happened in the late 80s, and they just want revenge. That's my view of them.
You don't think that they're clones glitching out and just all here reptilian overlords trying to just entertain? No, I'm kidding. We could, politics, guys. We really could. What's going to happen though Monday next week?
I will add one more thing real quick. I feel people, because you'll be able to comment on this more because you're the psychology person. I feel so many people feel more secure knowing there is some huge force coordinating everything, whether that's good or bad, when in reality, I feel our whole world is like total chaos and all the powers that be are like hanging on by a thread to keep the wheels from falling off. So I don't feel there is any great coordination or, I don't know, maybe it's all my life, like working in project management and seeing that like there's no way that people could pull off these things that people claim that people could pull off on. So yeah, I don't feel there's like this great grand cabal running everything. I feel it's the exact opposite, that there are a million chaotic forces fighting against each other and folks just trying to give the illusion that things are under control to keep people from losing their shit. But if people really knew how close we were to total chaos, people would be panicking. That's my view of the world.
Well, and I think there's a lot of truth to that, because when I see the way the government operates as far as like clearance and awareness of just information, the idea is to only give you parts of information. And so nobody has all of the pieces of the information. And so the idea that you have like just this big auditorium of people walking around with a piece of a puzzle, all wanting the whole puzzle, but not willing to share their piece. That's how you know that because we need to work together, we're on the edge of chaos, because everybody is chaotically, selfishly hoarding their things. But that is really, I think, in many ways how it works in those, like, the chat room was talking about power lords and serfs and absolute power corrupting absolutely and all the things. A one world order, I think, is an oxymoron right down the line. I feel like because we have diversity, because we have all those things that are the battle cries for corralling people, Those are the reasons that we're never going to maybe be under a one world order. But, hey, maybe we should be so lucky. Aliens come and we all
and
go
this
back
isn't
to.
this isn't a theological statement. This is just a general thing. But I think people feel better thinking that there is, whether in this world or beyond, some power controlling things and keeping order, as opposed to the idea of there's no control, there's no order, and there could be a random thing that happens tomorrow that could wipe us all out, and nobody really has got a good handle on it.
Nobody does.
I think people would actually, I think there's a fair amount of people that psychologically, even if they don't admit it, would be more comfortable thinking that there's an evil group running everything.
There
than the
is.
idea that there's nobody running anything.
Right. It unifies people to have a common, warlord to hate, even if it's a fake one. And I think that there is something to be said about just the not knowing, when you don't know, you have an imagination. The fact that we still are conjuring up these great, elaborate, I think gives credence to the human spirit still being alive in people. And for me, it's somewhat entertaining. But that doesn't mean that shit won't hit the fan. And obviously, I don't want to be involved in shit hitting the fan. I don't want to be on the front of that. I'd rather be in the back of it. So that's ideally what the astrology is helping us do, guys. And we still have one day left, because anything that's a Pluto movement, I feel like that's going to be something to address. It might be that everything collapses, just as we're talking about. Maybe the aliens do come down. Maybe something grand happens. But if it does happen, it might happen on Tuesday, which would be October 3rd. And Tuesday, October 3rd, Mercury will be in Virgo, still continued. That's the communication being clear and organized and perfectionist. And what did you say? Did you say cannot or cannot? What did you say? That's Virgo. And Tuesday, Mercury is going to be in Virgo, but trine Pluto in Capricorn.
So I'm now gonna rescind part of what I said about Monday, because this following, if the big revelation comes out on Monday, and now we have the detailed communication having synergy with Pluto, which is the big impersonal, profound shifts. Whenever I see Pluto, I feel like the game changes to some degree. And so if we're going to have some big revelation on Monday and now a big Pluto thing on Tuesday, I don't think whatever comes out on Monday is going to be ignored. Doesn't mean that, let's say it's A has something out that makes B look bad. Doesn't mean that necessarily A prevails then. All I'm saying is the whole landscape of everything shifts significantly.
What landscape?
Wherever the news comes out. So if it's, this could be anything. This could be, I'll just throw out a couple examples. This could be the litigation against Trump. This could be the litigation against Biden. This could be the budget. This could be Ukraine.
Could be.
I know everybody thinks there's going to be some lockdown in October for the elections. Again, I'm not buying it.
Well, there's some conspiracy theories about October 4th, astrologically speaking. I will throw that out there. I'll mention it on No Man's Land, but there is the big FEMA and emergency broadcast alert system that is going out on October 4th, which usually happens on the first Wednesday of every month, or they have it at like a scheduled, very routine professional time. On Wednesday, they're doing it at 2:22 Eastern Standard Time. So it's kind of a random, weird number on a weird day that's not a Wednesday or the first of the month. And people lose their shit when that goes down. So people really are worried that you name it, that HARP is going to engage some megahertz infrasound radio frequency that everybody in their nanoparticles, whether they were vaccinated or had sex with a vaccinated person or partially vaccinated because they rubbed up next to someone and shared Buffalo Wild Wings on the bus with somebody who is going to start freaking out. I guess we'll know by next week when you join us here on the Astrology and Alchemy show. But that landscape, things changing, maybe 5G to 6G, and suddenly people are now speaking in different tongues. I don't know. What do we expect? What do we know to be happening, and what do we expect to be happening, and what is going to happen?
Full disclosure, we've been through this before. I don't believe there was a conspiracy against the orange guy. I think he only had a third of the country ever supporting him, and just because they're passionate, they think it's more people support them than they do.
Come on, Matt. We know you're a Trump fan. We know you're a Trump. No, look at
People
him.
know my social media. I actually post the Tim Curry Satan from Legend and say, just so everybody's clear, this guy's getting my vote before Orange Dude.
Hey, I nearly pooped my pants when the reality of that our ticket on this next election cycle might actually be Biden Trump again. And I just was like,
Bait and switch.
can
I'm
we
happy now that I'm actually seeing folks like on Fox and stuff saying the same things. I've been saying it for 3 years. They're going to have Biden look like he's the guy, and then they're going to swap him out
Switch
for
it.
health reasons at the very last minute.
Who's it going to be? Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're at the end of the show. And man, if you guys want a reading, there's been a few people that reached out. How do you get a birth chart reading? How do you get a reading if you want a reading with Matt and I together? Okay, those are $144. And that's because we split it in half and we each do our own side of it. And then we do the whole thing. If you're wanting just a mini reading of your birth chart where we just yap at you about what your birth chart is, let us know. We're doing a special on that for $88 for the Libra season. And we really would love to have your business. We would love to be able to give you a birth chart. If you are listening, you're one of the fans of the show, we want to be able to connect with you. So Matt and I just wanted to share those. If you guys have a friend, or imaginary or not, bring them with you to the show. Share the show and let us know what you like about it and what you'd like to hear more. And other than that, I'm going to put the links in the chat room where people can find us. Matt, what am I missing?
I think you got it all. I just want to add, I agree with Steph. I'm drawing a blank on who Michael is, but Newsom could be somebody, but I have a feeling it's even going to be somebody we don't. I think it's going to be
Michael was
somebody.
the Asian man, wasn't he?
Oh, okay.
I thought he was.
I think it's. I even think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a wild card. It's going to be one of these name out of nowhere. If you even think back to I know I'm going to age myself because some people on this chat weren't paying attention.
Don't you dare say Ross Perot. Don't you?
But
dare
if you
say.
remember when Clinton showed up in '92, his name was not. He was like an obscure, not even in the mix. There were like 4 other people that were like.
Just a random Arkansas man.
And he was just this guy kind of tagging along, and then all of a sudden he got momentum late. Not that I think it's going to play out that same way, but I think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to do somebody's going to get momentum, and they're going to do.
Someone's going to play the saxophone on the late
night
night show.
That I do think is I don't think that rises to conspiracy. I think that is a underhanded strategy, which I guess we can play semantics here, but I do think that's the game plan. I think that's what they'll do.
So you heard it here first, guys. The bait and switch is going to happen this year for the 2024 election, and we called it.
Steph's got it. Just like Barack Obama kind of came out of nowhere. It's going to be the same kind of thing.
Yep. And we'll see. As it gets closer, we'll fine tune our predictions. Meanwhile, guys, please reach out. Let us know how you feel about the show. Share. And as always, join us here next week, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Subspace Radio, Odyssey Radio, download YouTube, Paranormal Channel, Sarah, you name it. Wherever you're at now, bring a friend and join us next week.
And on that last night, I'm still hoping for somebody to show up kind of in the middle. I'm still waiting for a third option.
We should be so lucky. We should be so lucky. All right. Well, let's just hope and pray out the rest of September and walk lightly into October, because from the word in the chat room, it's going to get crazy. And I know it will, because I've looked ahead a little bit. But yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Don't look ahead if you can't help it. It's scary, and not just because it's Halloween.
Especially post-COVID, I just try not to throw fuel on any of this stuff, because I've seen little nuggets of things that have just evolved into these like crazy things that, whereas maybe like 5 years ago I would have trolled and elaborated on this stuff. Now I'm like, no, I gotta like tone it down, because
don't try putting mayonnaise on my fire.
Flying off in the different directions on stuff. And then they blow
I like to watch people fly off the handles. Yeah, don't fly off the handle if you can help it, guys. We got eclipses and full moons and all sorts of stuff in Halloween in the month of October, so we won't let you down. We will not let you down. But until next time.
Sounds good. Thanks everybody for watching. See ya.